there, I'm Melissa Rodriguez. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions for Texas Women's University, located in Denton, Texas. And today we're going to talk about different kind of healthcare programs and opportunities available to you to apply to later on when you are ready to apply to college or university. We'll talk a little bit about the different options available at TWU, but just also available in general for different healthcare opportunities outside of pre-med, but we'll touch a little bit on that as well. So when choosing a healthcare program, you might say, what if I don't know which program to choose or what I'm interested in? You know, you want to help someone, you know, you want to be in the health field, but you're not necessarily sure which path to take. That is perfectly okay. And it's not like you need to make that decision right away, since a lot of times you do have to continue on for graduate school for programs. But something that can help you would be for you to consider shadowing, observing, or interviewing someone who is in a program or completed a program and is in the field that you're interested in. This might be a great way for you to pick their brain and find out what their day-to-day life is like. So that's going to be something to help make your decision. You should definitely do some research and make a plan. So let's say you wanted to do something like nursing, like we said earlier, it might be great to find someone who has been doing nursing for years and you can get an idea of what that looks like. Now, if you know you want to do nursing and you want to become, let's say, a nurse practitioner, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but to do that, you would have to get a bachelor's degree in nursing to then pursue a nurse practitioner program. So that's going to help out when you're planning, because you know you're going to do your undergraduate degree in nursing and then you would do a graduate degree like a nurse practitioner. That's just an example. Of course, you're going to want to research the universities and colleges for the programs that you're interested in. We're going to talk about nursing in a moment, but I did want to touch a little bit on pre-med. When you're considering a pre-med program, let's say that you speak to someone at a college fair and you ask them how good their pre-med program is. Well, we're going to usually tell you it's awesome because any major can be converted to a pre-med major. So it could be English and you can be pre-med. Now, some recommendations would be something like biology, because that's going to be a lot of heavy sciences that you're going to want to take to prepare you for medical school, but it's not necessarily required that you do that. Also, you might consider doing a major minor program. So let's say your major is biology, but your minor is in medical technology, or you have a minor in something else, because you do want to pick something that you're going to have a strong interest in. Because if you have a strong interest, you're going to also have really good grades, which is definitely something you're going to want when you're applying to medical school. Let's talk about nursing. So you might have seen a lot of these acronyms and not necessarily know exactly what they refer to. A CNA is a certified nurse assistant. LVN is a licensed vocational nurse. ADN is associate degree nurse. Now I put RN next to it because this person took an exam at the end to become a registered nurse. There's also a BSN, or someone who has a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, who also had to take the NCLEX, which is that exam that they need in order to be a registered nurse. So you can technically be an RN with an ADN program or a BSN program. Those are all going to be undergraduate programs. Now, they're going to be in different lengths of programming. So CNA typically is only a few months in order to be a certified nurse assistant. Sometimes you can find your local community college has those programs available to you. Some of them even let you do them when you're in high school. Now, a licensed vocational nurse will be longer timing than a CNA, and an ADN is typically 2 years. Now, I do say typically 2 years because you could have needed courses that are called prerequisites. Prerequisites are courses you need to have in order to apply to a program. So you would need to have prerequisite courses for the ADN program and prerequisite courses for a BSN program. We're going to leave the BSN alone for a moment because we're going to talk about that in more depth in the next slide. But let's talk about these other programs. Let's say nurse practitioner. A lot of times people will tell me that they would like to become a nurse practitioner, which is awesome. But I will tell them that they need to complete an undergraduate degree. Now, an undergraduate degree is anything like a bachelor's degree first in order to pursue a graduate program. Now, to do specifically nurse practitioner or nurse educator, you would have to have a bachelor's degree in nursing in order to pursue those master's programs. So please do keep that in mind. You do have to have a bachelor's degree. You need to be an RN to pursue those programs. Now, I did put more on that slide as well because there are a lot of different nursing programs available to you. When it comes to TWU, we do offer the BSN, Nurse Practitioner, Nurse Educator program, but we don't offer a program like nurse anesthesiologist or something like that. So look into the different kind of routes that you can take for nursing because there's a lot of opportunities available to you. Now, talking about the Bachelor's of Science in Nursing for TWU. Now, this is our program, but other programs that are going to look pretty similar. They're going to require prerequisite courses like we mentioned earlier, but there's also a nursing entrance exam. So if you see that purple box, you'll see the TEAS exam. That's what TWU requires, but other schools might require the HESI. When it comes to prerequisites, you'll notice that there's a requirement for Intro to Nutrition. That's required for TWU, but another school might require something else. So when you're working towards these programs, if you're attending a four-year school from the beginning, typically we are setting you up for the courses that you need to take to then pursue the nursing program. So you're probably already taking prerequisites your first 2 years because they'll be required when you're doing the last 2 years, which are the upper division nursing courses. So think of it like you have a 4-year bachelor's degree. The first 2 are your core and prerequisites. The last 2, which are the ones that I refer to as upper division nursing, those are 3,000, 4,000 level nursing specific courses in order to get you ready to take that NCLEX at the end. So now we're going to talk about other options. So there's physical therapy, which you see on the left, and occupational therapy, which you see on the right. Now, these programs are similar, but they also have their differences. So for these programs, they both require an undergraduate degree. So a bachelor's degree is required, also prerequisite courses. They also require observation hours. So don't be surprised that later on, when you start taking your upper level courses, you're going to start incorporating some prerequisite courses and getting yourself ready for these graduate programs. So if you notice, they're both doctorate programs. Now remember, we mentioned a little bit earlier, we talked about associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's, doctorate programs, and then PhD. A PhD is a terminal degree. That's the highest you can get into that field. Now for these 2 programs, they do not require master's programs. They do require a bachelor's and what we mentioned earlier, but they are doctorates and they have entry level. And both of them give you the opportunity to continue on to do PhD, which again, like I mentioned, is that terminal degree, which is going to be more research. When looking at the programs, you have physical therapy. So the Doctor of Physical Therapy entry level, those are going to be movement experts. They are going to work with their patients to prevent or manage their conditions. When we're talking about occupational therapists, they help people across the lifespan participate in the things that they want and need to do. So if you notice, each of these slides are going to have links to organizations. So these are the different organizations for each of these different fields. So definitely research them and look into more information about them because they're going to be a wealth of knowledge for what you'll need to do when you're starting to decide what is going to be your program of interest. And also TWU does offer these programs and the pre-programs. Sometimes people ask, what are good undergraduate degrees? There's a lot of different opportunities to you, similar to pre-med, any major works. Now, some recommendations, for example, occupational therapy does have a lot of psychology prerequisites. So a psychology degree would make sense. And of course, you're also going to be on science tracks for both of these programs because you have to have specific science courses to then apply to them. So we've mentioned earlier about nurse practitioner programs. Let's talk about these 2 programs because they're very similar, but they're different. So a nurse practitioner, like we mentioned earlier, has to have a bachelor's degree in nursing to pursue this program. Now, the physician assistant has to have a bachelor's degree, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in any specific field. Now, sciences make sense. Biology would be a good option. Now let's read a little bit about what they do. A nurse practitioner, clinician who assesses, diagnose and treat acute and chronic diseases, as well as counsel, coordinate care, and educate patients regarding their illnesses. Now, the physician assistant, diagnose illness, develop and management treatment plans, prescribe medications, and often serve as a patient's principal healthcare provider. So my recommendation, if you're deciding between these two programs, are again to research. Find out what they do, find out their day-to-day, and even compare salaries. Another program that we can talk about would be our dental hygiene program. TW does offer a dental hygiene program, but something I did want to mention, this is from the ada.org website, is that the requirements or the responsibilities for dental hygienists does vary from state to state. So do keep that in mind. Now, for these programs, this is going to be great for someone who might be interested in becoming a dentist later on. So you can have a great background in your undergraduate degree. Now, this is a bachelor's degree, and you take that test at the end for you to be able to become a dental hygienist. Now, you can stop there with that bachelor's degree and start practicing as a dental hygienist, or you can continue on for dental school. And again, similar idea, be on a science track to apply to medical school. So that was just a few options for different kind of healthcare opportunities for you. Again, I recommend researching and looking into different opportunities, reaching out to different counselors and representatives from the institutions. Feel free to shoot us an email, give us a call. We can give you information about general college admissions, financial aid, different kind of information like that. But again, if you're kind of debating different programs, please reach out to us. And please reach out to me if you have any of those questions as well. I'm Melissa Rodriguez, and it is mrodriguez68@twu.edu. And I hope this information was helpful. Have a great day.